So I was so pissed. But I'm like, that's a good story for someone who's new, because it's like, that tells you that not all bikes are created equal. Now, if you're in a Bike Plus, it should be different because they're supposed to be auto-calibrated and, you know, they should be equal. But if you're on the original bike, you can't compare your bike to someone else's bike.
Yeah.
You know, just like you can't compare your journey to someone else's journey. You don't know how long they've been riding. You don't know what they're doing. You know, there's a woman who rides with like an oxygen tank. Like, you just don't know someone's story. So don't get so hung up on the numbers. Get on the bike, get on the tread, do your thing, have fun, and just enjoy it.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 212. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe.
I am back to healthy, and you are almost there.
I'm like 70% back to healthy.
I think it's closer to 80.
I can hear the blood flow in my head right now.
More drugs.
Yes.
So,
but other than that,
yeah. Well, we have an apology.
We do have an apology to make.
Yeah, we absolutely do. So last week when we talked about Sam Smith, we kept calling Sam Smith a he.
Yeah, which is the incorrect pronoun, which was a mistake and an accident on our part. It was
absolutely. We're not, as you said.
We're not trying to make a statement of some kind.
No.
It's just we were doing the show on the fly and it just snuck by us, and so we wholeheartedly apologize for that.
Yes. The correct pronouns are they.
Correct.
And so we will get it right going forward. We are very sorry for that. We really understand how important it is to make sure that those pronouns are correct. So, all right. I wanted to mention though that when I was corrected, someone mentioned to me that Ben and Leanne both had to re-record Sam Smith classes that they had done because they used the wrong promate.
They fell in the same rhythm.
And the reason I want to point that out is how easy it is to make that mistake.
Totally.
Because keep in mind, those are scripted.
Yeah.
Like we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show, but there's a whole thing that just came out this week about how scripted these rides and runs and classes are. And my point being is not to pick on Ben and Leanne.
Right.
My point is that one, that they went and back and redid it because it is that important to get right. And two, that it's that easy to do because we've been doing it a certain way for a long time.
Yeah.
And that does not make it right. But
it also doesn't mean it's malicious.
No. And that is my point. Not malicious.
Yeah. So I guess now that we've gotten that out of the way, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
There is a lot of interesting news this week, and we're going to go through and talk about some things that normally would talk to John Mills about. We'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
We're going to also get a visit. We had a visit from Dr. Jenn, and she talks about some things that you can do to make sure that you're getting up early, like if you struggle with that.
Right.
Also, Angelo from MetPro stopped in, and I want to point this out because I know some of you get a little weird about our segments, and I use the word weird as just a over encompassing umbrella topic, or I can't think of the word. Yes. Yeah. Description. I'm saying weird because different people have different reasons for skipping it. But my point being that if you've been curious about MetPro, I really highly encourage you to listen to this week's, because this week Angelo is doing our check-in on the air.
Yeah, we thought we would, like, instead of just doing our check-ins in private, we would record one and they could hear like what it sounds like when you're talking to your coach about things you did or didn't do. And so we're fresh off of vacation. We put on some weight, and if you've seen any of the food pictures on our Facebook pages, and so he walks us through that. And normally week to week we try to keep it more broad-based nutritional advice, just so it's not so I don't know, MetPro-y for lack of a better word. But again, we thought this week would be interesting just to let people kind of peek behind the curtains and get an idea of, if you were a MetPro customer, what you could expect to hear. So.
Exactly. So I wanted to point that out for those of you who haven't had a chance to listen or might skip that sometimes. And I am super excited to talk about some of these articles that came out this week about Peloton. There are some things to discuss. Not to mention, of course, we had 2 brand new instructors join the team. So we need to talk about that as well.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. And if you would be so kind, maybe leave us a review.
Yay!
We have a new review.
Yes!
This is from Nevertheless She. And it says, motivation and information. If you have a Peloton and haven't listened, you are missing out. This podcast is the perfect blend of motivation and information. You will hear motivational stories that will keep you pedaling, as well as all the info you need to stay current on all things Peloton. The hosts are engaging and so easy to listen to. Crystal is the best. See you out there. And then the leaderboard name is Nevertheless She. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I've seen that leaderboard out there. I believe I've exchanged some high fives. So thank you very much for leaving such a kind review.
Also, don't forget, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, sign up for the newsletter at theclipout.com. Sorry, we missed the last week or so because we were on vacation, and that'll fire back up here this week. And you can also watch these episodes at our YouTube channel at youtube.com/theclipout. While you're there, be sure and subscribe to that as well. So
you'll be able to see my face whenever Angelo talks about how much weight we gained.
Yes. It was not insubstantial. So anyway, there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
So McAfee. I always think of Bye Bye Birdie when I think of McAfee.
Why?
Because that was the name of the girl, Kim McAfee.
Oh,
Going steady. Going steady for good. Anyway, I don't want to sing anymore. They'll make us pay for it.
Yeah.
So McAfee found some security vulnerabilities in Peloton products this week.
Yeah, they did. And I want to start by saying, very important, that these features or these problems, if you will, vulnerabilities, can only be exploited upon if you are physically in contact with the device.
Right. You access this vulnerability through the USB port, which sounds a little dirty now that I say it out loud. But so you have to be physically present with the equipment to do that. So people can't just like hack into your computer and do stuff too. It's not like sneakers.
Right. But, well, and I guess in addition to that caveat, I want to make sure to mention that it is only for the Bike Plus and Tread users. Okay. So what can happen is once somebody has accessed it through that USB, they can go in and put a malicious like Trojan horse in it. And then like it'll look like it's all operating fine, but in the background it's not. And in addition to that, one of the things that you can access when you go in the background is like a map of where all of the Bike Pluses and Treads are. Like physically. So that could be a problem because then you could, if you were a hacker, you could then go find those people, find identities, do things that are, bad with all of that. However, I guess this was discovered about 3 months ago in that coordinated vulnerability disclosure program, which is the same that's the same program that was used to report the last issue that we discussed. And I guess Peloton responded in about 2 weeks. So it wasn't a long period of time.
Right.
And then they fixed it. It sounds like on June 4th is when this was fixed. Peloton pushed out a mandatory update to fix the affected devices. So it has been fixed. And this article was held until that was done.
Fixed. Yeah, I've noticed that lately with these sorts of breaches that people tend to sit on them like by the time we're hearing the story, it's been corrected,
which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's a good way to handle that.
It is, and so if you have a bike plus or a tread at home, you don't need to worry about this unless you're letting someone into your home.
Right.
But also, it's been fixed. But people asked me why I included it. I included it because there's Pelotons in public spaces.
Right.
And so, especially if you're staying at a hotel or you live in an apartment building that has one, like that could be a really big deal because they could get to all of your personal information. And so that is concerning because they could also access the webcam through this particular malicious vulnerability. So all fixed, all better.
New instructors.
So we have new instructors, in case the fancy sweeper didn't just tell you that.
We do. 2 new strength instructors. So Callie Gulickson and Rad Lopez joined the team. So interesting to note that according to Connect the Watts, which I'm not seeing on this particular Peloton announcement, which is right in front of us, but according to Connect the Watts, that they were listed as, I want to make sure I get this right.
Okay.
It's first strength focus instructors. So we know that these 2 are strength instructors, but that is like their primary teaching. Now that's interesting because all of the other instructors have been tread instructors that also teach strength.
Okay.
We have talked about the fact that Tiger, the new strength device, is coming out in the fall.
Right.
And we know what it looks like because we've seen pictures. We talked about that here. If you missed that episode, go back a couple. You'll hear all about it. But the other interesting thing is both of these instructors, I know Rad, I'm not sure about Callie, have boxing history.
Interesting.
And that adds the fuel to the fire that boxing will be added because we have like 6 instructors now that have boxing backgrounds.
Interesting.
So I feel pretty confident that is coming down the road at some point. Don't know about the schedule on that one. So that's pretty cool. And then Callie Gulickson, I have heard from people, and it might be Gulickson. I haven't heard her name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But Callie, I keep hearing she was at Allo Moves before, which is another company that teaches classes, and I've heard tons of great feedback from her other classes prior to moving to Peloton.
Awesome.
Both instructors had their initial premiere classes this week, so if you haven't had a chance to take them, make sure you do. And let's see what happens with these guys and what happens with the Tiger announcement in the fall. Roar indeed.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
So no John Mills this week. He wanted to take a little time to himself. His mother sadly passed away, and so our condolences to him.
Very much, and his whole family.
Yeah, but we still that's not going to stop us from stealing things from the Run, Lift, and Live page.
Well, you can't call it stealing because I talked to John and he gave us permission.
Oh, that's a shame. It's so much more fun when we get to steal things. John, could you retract your permission? That'd be fun. And we're like ne'er-do-wells.
Hopefully we made him giggle a little.
I tried. So he found a story about FORME.
Yeah.
Is partnering up with Barry's.
And it's called like Barry's Boot Camp. That's been a thing for a while. So this is interesting because we've seen this happen before with another company. It was on John's page.
Yeah.
I already forgot what it was.
Was it the Beach Body partnered up with somebody?
Yeah, I think. And they're taking the content from, I think that was from Mirror.
Right.
And now they're taking the content from FORME and they're using it in these locations. It's also interesting to me because FORME is like in this weird place. They did all this advertising last year and said that they were coming out with this device that was just like tonal, but you didn't have to have a wall. You could use these like feet things. They look like skis whenever you just propped it up. But at any rate, then right before it was supposed to come out, they said, well, due to COVID, we're not going to be able to come out with this right away. So now they have a device that basically looks like a mirror. I'm still unclear if the other device is ever going to make it to out into the real world. I don't know. But that's kind of the history of FORME, which is why I'm mentioning that, because it's very similar to Mirror, and then they're now using a very similar technique to what Mirror did. So I find that all very fascinating. John pointed out in his post that Barry's only has like 70 locations worldwide.
Okay.
And most of them aren't in the U.S. And so John was like, how popular are these? And I know they're very popular. Like Rebecca Kennedy, who's at Peloton, came from Barry's boot camp. Barry's boot camps. And now she obviously is a huge deal over at Peloton.
So is it one of those things maybe where they don't necessarily have like official locations, but people get like certified to teach in that manner, kind of like how Mad Dog does with Spin?
I didn't get that impression. I got the impression there just weren't that many locations, but I did not do any of my own research on that. So I can't say for sure. I know that Rebecca Kennedy taught actual classes at a Barry's boot camp location.
Gotcha.
Other than that, I don't know much about it. I know that people who like the Barry's boot camp, they really have always spoken very highly of it. And that's really all I know.
Okay. Well, while we're talking about competitors, Icon Health and Fitness announced that they are officially changing their name to iFit.
Yeah, and this is another one that we found on John's page, and he mentioned that he thinks that this is really just kind of them getting ready for the big merger next year.
Gotcha.
This is just kind of one of those things to get all their branding in place.
Yeah.
And, which makes sense.
It does, because it's always been kind of confusing where it's like some of it's called iFit, but it's Icon Health. So it makes, like, honestly, this probably should have already happened. So
I agree.
I'm glad it makes it easier to keep it all straight in our heads. So thanks. Thanks, iFit.
Thanks for cleaning up that whole branding situation.
And then also there was an interesting FCC filing about Peloton and monitors.
Yeah, and specifically it was a tread monitor. And so that led to a lot of speculation about what this means.
Right.
But I don't think it means anything, because I was working through this with our patent filing guru, Paul Bradley.
Okay.
And Paul Bradley kind of went through the past FCC filings, and it turns out, so FCC filings, it's all about the communication between the monitor and the TV, or the monitor and like the airwaves.
Right. So the FCC is the Federal Communications Commission, and they regulate the airwaves. So in the late 1920s, I think they basically classified the radio band as a natural resource so they could regulate it, which is why the government can regulate the content that's on television but not on cable, because cable doesn't go over the airwaves.
Yeah, so Paul Bradley had two kind of theories on this. One is that it might have something to do in preparation or in response to Peloton's lawsuit that they have with Dish, because we know that there's some issue with how they're providing, how they're using the FCC airways. The other thing, and we both agree this is probably more likely, is that this is just something that Peloton does for every monitor. And it's been a while since the Peloton Tread came out. And so if you look back at when like the different products came out and when the FCC filing, this is kind of in line with that. So we think this is just normal. It's version 2. It says TC1VS2, and before it was TC1VS1.
Gotcha. I will say that I think Wi-Fi is regulated.
Oh, really?
By the FCC.
Interesting.
And so it might be, if the Wi-Fi for the device is in the monitor, if that's where that lives, it could be as simple as that.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. If you need proof, USA Gymnastics. That's pretty impressive.
Definitely.
You also know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jenn, or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jenn, or her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jenn Show. She's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jenn's 6-step guide to improving communication, connection, and intimacy. It's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
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 It is so good to have you back.
Thank you. Always great to be here with you guys.
Well, right back at you. And our Clip Out community, they enjoy hearing your answers as well. We have another question for you. This one is from Lena Brace Tanguay. She wants to know tips for waking up early mornings, or does she just need to do it? She finds it harder if it's in the winter months. Evening workouts don't agree with meals, and her legs need to calm down enough to fall asleep. Thanks in advance.
Oh my God, Lena, I feel you. I am so not a morning person. Like, I mean, you guys can attest, like I left to my own devices, my natural biorhythms. I'm up till 2, 3 in the morning. And then I would sleep in if I had no work and no kids, no anything. So I get it. And I have 2 daughters who are ice skaters, which means that typically when, we are not in the midst of COVID and the rinks are closed, I have to get up at 4:00 in the morning, 3 days a week to take them to the rink. So I feel you, Lena, like on a very deep and profound level, personally and professionally. A few things. Some of my tips are going to be healthier than others, but I'm also going to share with the unhealthy ones because they've helped me. Okay. Healthier tip is have a set bedtime. Make sure you're consistently going to bed at the same time. In order to have what they call good sleep hygiene, you want to consistently be going to bed at the same time. The sleep experts say that even on the weekends, you should be continuing that sort of bedtime because that consistency is key. I don't know many people who are still going to sleep at, like 9 o'clock at night if they have to get up really early on the weekends. And at the same time, you always want to have that balance of you need to have a little fun in your life. You don't want to be waking up at 5 in the morning to exercise and have no life. That's not healthy either. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you want to make sure that when you are going to sleep, that you're in a fully dark room, that you should not be having any blue light from your screen or anything like that for at least an hour before you go to sleep, because all the studies show that it really messes with your circadian rhythm and your ability to fall asleep because your brain sees the light and goes, oh, it's daytime. It's not time to sleep, and kind of perks you up instead of helping you to fall asleep. I do recommend Peloton's meditation, especially the sleep meditation. I'm a huge fan of Ross Rayburn. I love his meditations because in the beginning of all of his meditations, he says things like, your mind may be wandering right now. And I'm always like, how did you know, Ross? It is. And he's like, and that is part of your meditation process. And that's okay. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't have to worry. So, I love his meditation because all the things that my brain does before I go to sleep, he kind of calls out and says like, that's okay. That's part of your process. Like, you may be a little fidgety right now. That's okay. I'm like, how did you know, Ross? Like, you're here with me. So I do recommend doing a meditation and doing it in bed so you can fall asleep to the meditation. I do that every single night. Thank you, Ross Rayburn. And also, the other thing is sometimes if you're having trouble sleeping, what happens is you get anxious that you're not sleeping and you're like, it's 2:00 and I have to be up in 5 hours. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Now I'm going to have a terrible workout. When you get yourself worked up about that, you tend to get more anxious, which prevents you from sleeping. So sometimes, and here's my unhealthy tip, is that sometimes if I know I'm going to sleep without enough time, what I do is I think of my sleep as a nap. I will say to myself, okay, I'm going to take a little nap now, and then I'm going to wake up and work out. And for some reason, it shifts my thinking. I get less panicked about not getting enough sleep. And I also wake up with kind of a different attitude. And it's just kind of my own weird, quirky tip. And the other thing is I recommend put your workout clothes out the night before, pick it out. And especially if it's something that's really fun to wear that you can kind of look forward to. Crystal, you and I have bonded on way too many Peloton apparel purchases. So I know you can relate to this.
Yes.
But sometimes it helps. I remember one time my executive producer on couples therapy would say to me, he's like, you really like your outfit today. I can tell you're walking different. And I kind of blew it off. But then when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that's true. And it's the same thing with my workout. Like I used to have before Peloton, I think I had like 2 workout items that I just wore over and over again. And I did find that when I have something fun to wear, as silly and superficial as it is, it kind of helps kind of perk up the workout a bit. But so knowing that, and if you're putting out your workout wear the night before, the other thing to do is to start to visualize your workout. Imagine yourself in that clothes. Imagine yourself on the treadmill. A lot of the time I do this before my long run because that is always more of a mental struggle for me than anything. And the night before, I will try to pick my class that I'm taking so I can try to get myself psyched about it. And then I will put out my clothes and I'll try to imagine myself in that outfit on the tread, like go in that full 45 minutes or 60 minutes, because that's really a challenge for me mentally. And then finally, the last thing I would say is look at what really is the best time for you to work out. There are times where we say like, oh, everybody worked out in the morning, or I read an article that said workouts in the mornings are better. You may be better at 11 o'clock at night. Like if that's what works for you, then go with it. Really do kind of an honest analysis of, for your psychology, for your biorhythms, what is the best time for you to work out, and then go with that.
Yeah, I mean, even if a morning workout is better, if you're not going to do it,
then it doesn't matter.
It's better to do it at night.
and sometimes people will pick a morning workout because then they're like, well, if I miss it, I can try at my lunch break, or I can try before dinner, or I can try after I put the kids in bed. So they're kind of giving themselves like a little room for error, which I get. At the same time, what tends to happen is when we don't keep promises to ourselves, we start to think of ourselves as someone who doesn't keep promises to ourselves, and it perpetuates it. And you want to set yourself up to succeed and keep that promise.
Yeah, that's true.
I totally do the nap thing that you said. I do that where I'll get mad at myself, like, oh, I only got an hour to sleep now. And then I'm like, wait, if I came home and it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was like you could take a nap for an hour, I'd be like, oh, sold.
Exactly.
So it
just changes my mindset when I do it.
Yeah.
Great advice as always.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on all social media at Dr. Jenn Man, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Man. And if you want to see what Peloton workouts I'm doing, you can check out my Insta stories, because every day I post what workouts that I have done, and you can check it out there. You can also find me on InStyle magazine. Their website, I have a weekly sex and relationship column that gets posted every week.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Instructors in the news.
So we are getting closer to the return of Robin Arzon.
We are.
Everyone keeps asking, when will she be back?
Well, and we still don't know exactly when she'll be back, but what we do know is that she recorded in the studio this week. She posted on all of her socials, and it said, "Don't call it a comeback." And then she was like strutting her stuff. She was obviously at the Peloton studio, and I think the caption said something to the effect of like, "Been somewhere I haven't been in a while," something to that effect. So, there's also been a lot of speculation around Robin's return. Will her first ride back be an In the Heights ride?
Right. Which, if I was a betting man, I'd say yes.
I would too.
Because we know that she's planning one, because she told Lin-Manuel Miranda in her interview with him. And also, like, the movie's not doing as well as they had hoped.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So I think that they would also want to do it to try and help the movie out, to just raise more awareness about the film. So, and it is a good movie, and if you have HBO Max, you already have access to it, so you can go watch it for free on HBO Max. And it's the play that he wrote all the music and songs for before Hamilton. It's what gave him the juice to get Hamilton produced. So
it was enjoyable. We watched it the other night, and I really liked it. I love Hamilton more. Like, for no doubt, but it was good. In the Heights was good.
Yeah, it was good, but yeah, it's no Hamilton. But
it's no Hamilton. It's like a once in a lifetime amazing achievement type of thing.
Right? Yeah. That's like,
I'm just saying, for people who might be like holding it to that standard, I just want to be like, it's not that good.
It's like Highway to Hell is good, but it's no Back in Black.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, CNN had an interesting story. 20 Peloton accessories to buy based on your fave instructor.
Yeah, we don't even put full words in titles
probably because their SEO character count was getting too high. So
I bet it is.
Oh, I gotta say fave.
Yeah, so they went through and they talked about like items that your favorite instructors have kind of inspired. So like, for example, for Cody Rigsby, a Britney Spears tank top, which would be perfect.
Yeah.
Then I thought this was interesting. They took one from Etsy and said like, "Get your life together, boo."
Yeah.
Now can they even do that? Like, it's not owned by Peloton, but like, do they have permission from Cody to do that? That's his saying.
I don't know. Like, unless he's trademarked it.
I don't know.
I don't know that that there's much they can do about that.
I don't know. That was kind of a side thought I had.
Sure.
But at any rate, and then they suggested other things, like they had stuff for Robin, like, she always wears bandanas. So like they joked that she's never met a bandana that she didn't like.
Gotcha.
And they had things about jewelry, and they had like a T-shirt that she is kind of based off of her most successful. People think it's her most successful ride. I don't know if it actually is. The Hamilton ride.
Okay.
And she wore a tank top that day that said Rise Up. And so they have a T-shirt in there that says Rise Up. So it's little things like that. And they also mentioned some things for Emma Lovewell, and they mentioned some things for Allie Love and Alex Toussaint. So if you haven't gotten a chance to see that, you probably ought to check it out. You might want to purchase something.
I also just think it's fascinating that's CNN worthy.
I know. Well, it was CNN underscored. So I don't know where CNN underscored falls in the CNN realm of things. Also, for everyone out there, I know they got Cody Rigsby's hometown wrong. I've already had multiple people contact me, and because they thought somebody thought I had put, and I was like, I didn't do it. I just copied and pasted exactly what the article had. But you would think that if it was like pure CNN,
that would have not got past a fact checker.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know.
Clip out.
So people are always looking for things to augment their home gyms.
They sure are.
And we talked about this in the past. People really seem to dig it, but Fight Camp.
Yeah. So it's really cool because you can learn to box or kickbox from real fighters, like the instructors.
People who've actually been in the ring.
Yes.
Punching and being punched.
They are teaching you. Also, it's a great way to get your kids included on a fitness journey with you while teaching them, of course, a valuable skill.
Yeah, and everybody's worried about the fitness equipment around their kids right now. And here's something that's super safe, right? It's just a bag and gloves and an iPad. There's no moving parts or anything like that.
There's no equipment that could hurt a child, and of course you would be right there as a parent. So if they're punching on the punching bag, they're not going to knock that thing over. Like they're not. It's just not going to happen. And so let's kind of talk about what it is. Fight Camp is made for beginners to experience. So whether you've never done any kind of boxing or you've already done some boxing and you just want to keep up your skills, this works for you. Also, it comes with all of the gear you need to box at home. So they have a range of things you can get. You've got your bag, you've got your smart trackers, you've got your gloves, you've got your wraps, and you have the stand that sits underneath the bag that you can fill with sand or water or the gel like we did.
You filled yours with the gel, right?
I did fill mine with the gel.
And if you already have a bag at home, you don't have to buy one. You can just buy the trackers and stuff, right? So it's one of those things you got to buy. If you're interested, you can just buy the other stuff. So that saves you some money as well. You can pay for your Fight Camp over 24 months for less than the cost of a boxing gym and get it right away.
Plus, Fight Camp offers free shipping with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just go to joinfightcamp.com/clip, CLIP.
So to get your free shipping on Fight Camp, go to joinfightcamp.com/clip.
Joinfightcamp.com/clip.
Peloton in the news.
So we have an official launch date for Peloton Australia.
Yeah, and so just to be clear, the app is already live in Peloton Australia.
Okay.
But the actual Bike Plus, I think it's the Bike Plus and the, maybe that's all, the Bike Plus, will be on sale on July 14th.
Okay.
Bike and Bike Plus. I'm sorry, I'm confusing everyone. I just don't think that the treads are on sale there. That's what I was trying to make sure.
Well, they're not on sale anywhere, right, at the moment?
No, they're not on sale anywhere, but I don't know if they're even planned to. I don't know if there is like a plan to push them out to Australia or not. There could be. But at the moment, you can experience the Bike and the Bike Plus, and they will be coming out July 14th. And so they're going to have those showrooms open in multiple cities, Sydney and Melbourne. You can go in, you can learn about the bikes, you can try out the bikes. Very cool. Very
awesome. And while we're talking about Peloton Australia, they have also ramped up their fight against Apple Fitness with a 90-day free app trial for Australia.
That's right. And so if you are a brand new user, you can now try Peloton for free for 90 days.
In Australia.
Yeah.
So they're coming in hot.
They sure are.
So Peloton debuted I guess their first post-lockdown ad this week.
They did.
And it all takes place, it kind of looks like Rear Window, except nobody's getting stabbed.
Yeah, except for that.
Yeah.
Except for that. Yeah, it's a really cool ad. And like it's all these apartments kind of like strung together.
Right.
And then in each one somebody is doing something different on all the like different, like either it's a treadmill or it's a bike or they're doing something on the app. They're doing yoga.
An outdoor run.
That's right.
Yeah, like it's really interesting, I think, in that I feel like this is the first ad that doesn't just feature the bike, right?
It is the first ad that doesn't just feature the bike.
Okay, yeah. So it's about, here's all the things that you can do with Peloton. It's not just a bike.
Yep. And the article that came out actually, this Adweek article actually says that was the whole point of it, was to highlight the entire ecosystem of Peloton availability, not just one thing. So you nailed it, Tom. And people have overwhelmingly liked this ad.
How about that?
Yeah.
Attention for an ad that's not negative.
Precisely.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure somebody will complain about it because, because people.
And then the Hollywood Reporter this week, hat tip to Gail Fine for sending this. She was the first person to send this to us, so thank you. Had a really lengthy and interesting article about the Hollywoodization of Peloton.
I felt like this article was just made for you, Tom, because it takes like all of the things that you talk about, like pop culture and TV,
and how it's like an old time movie studio.
Exactly.
Like, who has said that for years?
You have said that for years.
For
you
years, I've said that. Yeah, and so it also talks about us.
Yeah,
we got mentioned in the Hollywood Reporter. So
it cracks me up, the mention, because it talks about how Peloton like tries to trace the leaks, and that we leak to the world, that they try to find out who told us that stuff, and you won't Peloton. You can't get the Peloton profit.
Yeah. Can't be done.
We should not issue a challenge.
We should not. They're like, just send them a C&D. Let's see what kind of legal department the Clip Out has. That'll shut them up real quick. See who's laughing now. And I can't tell you, though, what a difficult conversation it was with the gang over on my other podcast, Real Spoilers, where, I got a podcast all about movies that I've been doing like 3 times as long as this podcast.
I didn't even think about that.
The Hollywood Reporter doesn't write about the movie podcast. They write about the Peloton podcast.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. They'll live. But there's so many movie podcasts, right? Like they're one of many where
So true.
We invented the idea of a Peloton podcast. So
we did.
Can't take
as a matter of fact.
So anyway, this article though is fascinating, just when it goes into details about like how much work goes into every class and how scripted they are. That they don't necessarily feel scripted, but I mean they are, and which is a testament to the quality of their product. Like that's not, I think some people maybe like people are a little uncomfortable because they feel like it takes away from the authenticity of the instructors.
But keep in mind, when we say scripted, the instructors are the ones scripting it. It's
not written for them. It's written by them, but like they want to know what's going to be said and so they can produce it properly. They said like when Robin Arzon revealed that she was pregnant, they knew going in that she was going to reveal that in the 25th minute so the camera could pivot around and I'm assuming show the baby bump in a way that they had been hiding previously.
And her husband was there, and so he got to he was in the shot because like it was just beautifully done. But it couldn't have been that beautifully done if it was just a surprise.
Right, like that's the thing is if you want those moments, there's a show aspect to that, and if you want to enjoy those moments, like you can't just wait for them to happen organically. You got to put a little effort into making it be that way.
Yep.
And so that's just it's how it works. And sometimes it's not sexy to see how the sausage made. I find it fascinating.
I know not everybody does, but
I will also say that's why their content is so much better than everybody else's.
That's the thing. People think that you can just sit down and hit record, whether it's something like this podcast or whether it's Robin Arzon announcing that she's pregnant,
right?
Or anything, a commercial, anything. It's not. It's not that simple. And so there's a lot of work that goes into it. And the way you know that they're doing a good job is because you didn't know that.
Right.
You didn't know that it was scripted, that Robin was going to do that in the 25th minute. I mean, you probably knew that they all knew, but you didn't know how scripted it was.
To what degree.
Right.
There are so many people out there that still think that when they watch a stand-up comedian, they're making that stuff up on the spot.
Seriously, until I met you, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I had no idea that they were like, that was a thing, and that they were working on it, and then they had done this a million times.
Right. No,
before.
I mean, it's. I mean, there are some that are a little bit looser than others, but they know exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah. And so I was one of those people. But that's the good news, is that Peloton is like at such a high level, you don't even know.
Exactly.
And of course, these newer instructors, they're going to get, it's going to take a little bit more time. But that's the other part that this article talks about, is that, you don't just start off day one as a Peloton instructor.
Right.
Those instructors, especially the new ones, are hired 6 months before we hear about them. And that's why you're always hearing all these rumors about such and such, letters in the background that they're names and stuff like that. You're hearing that because Peloton hires them so far in advance, and they hire them to train them.
And they get them up to speed.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that they can do things like look at all the different cameras, so that they understand how the scripts work, so that they use the same terminology the other instructors do, because it's not good if you have all different people telling you different things.
And when I talk about how Peloton is like a TV station, like that's what TV stations do, right? Like when they started The Tonight Show, like when they were bringing Conan up, like when he took over the Late Show, let's say, or Late Night, he did like a month of shows that nobody ever saw. He just did them in the studio, and they would bring in like people from other NBC sitcoms that were in the building at 30 Rock, just so he could get a rhythm of doing it. And then like they did the same thing with Jimmy Fallon. He did, and then before he actually went live on air, they streamed him online back before anybody really watched things stream online, just so they could get the feel of what it was like to put a show out. And so like that's how professionals do it.
That's quality assurance is what it is. And it's important. And I believe that Peloton even does that. Like, I think that they do these classes with Peloton employees so that, and I think they do it with other instructors too, so they can get that real time feedback and hear like how things are going. But anyway, I just think it's really cool. I love seeing how the sausage is made, whether it's about an instructor and like all of the details of their life and what they do every day, or if it's that's cool to me. So I really enjoyed this article. Very cool.
So Jill Woodworth spoke at the Bank of America Merrill Lynch 2021 Global Technology Conference. I can't even imagine what their T-shirts must look like.
I think it's just like letters. Like
they can only sell them in 2XL.
I think it's just GTC.
There's so much stuff on there. You got to buy like 4 T-shirts to get it all on there.
Well, Jill had a few things of note to mention. I mean, she said a lot of good stuff, but I'm just highlighting a few.
Yeah.
One, Peloton delivery times are back to pre-pandemic levels, 1 to 3 weeks.
Awesome.
Now, if you placed your order a month ago or 2 months ago, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about brand new orders. That's where we're at right now. And of course, there are exceptions to that. It's not every city. That's not every location.
But by and large,
that's where we are. Now, the smaller tread, another thing she mentioned, the smaller tread is expected to be back on the market mid to late July, which is right in line with what we've been hearing, July. Now, keep in mind, that is the quote unquote regular tread, and it's the smaller one. The larger one, the news is it's going to take months to redesign.
Gotcha.
So, for you guys out there waiting for it, just kind of, you're going to have to wrap your head around that. It's
Slow your roll.
Months. It's just going to be months, and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, another thing she talked about was the new production facility and the Precor production facility. She's saying that they are going to play a significant role in continuing to lower price points for its bikes and treadmills down the road.
Interesting.
I thought that was very interesting. She said that they will be producing bikes out of the Precor facility by the end of 2021, the actual year.
Right. The calendar year, not
calendar year. Thank you. And that it will bode well for prices for our consumers and broaddening our audience.
Wow.
You don't hear about companies lowering prices very often.
Except for Schooner Tuna. They're just going to help us get through these trying times.
Yeah. Okay. And then she also said, expect new offerings from Peloton after the company made a recent spate of quote unquote tuck-in acquisitions, which we've talked about here.
Right.
That's your Otari. That's your the watch one,
the wearable company.
Exactly. And she said that it's going to really accelerate our investments in R&D and new products. This last point, I just want to make sure that everyone gets, it is right in line with our prediction that you're going to see Tiger this fall, the calendar year 2021. So I thought that was absolutely fascinating. Business Insider had all of that to report.
Rolling Stone featured Peloton's head of music, Gwen Bethel Riley, and on their Future 25 list.
They did. So Riley talked about a lot of things in this article. A lot of basically kind of the highlights of how much Peloton has changed music and how they do music since she's been there.
Right.
She's had a lot to do with that, and deserves a lot of that credit. But one of the things that she mentioned that really stood out to me is that she talks about how she is eager to get more celebs into Peloton as guest instructors.
Interesting.
And to play around with BPMs. So she said to expand the diversity of class offerings and find more ways to introduce younger Peloton users to legacy artists through workout materials. An example she gave, a fast pop song might be slowed down for a nice yoga flow, or a ballad adapted into a cardio hit, which I have seen, especially in the yoga flows. I am seeing that a lot, that they take these artists and they use a version that's really slowed down, and I really dig it.
That's interesting.
It's not something I would listen to every day, but I really like it for the yoga.
You see that on YouTube a lot, where people will play with the keys of a song, and they'll take like a pop song and play it in the minor key, and then all of a sudden it sounds really sad.
Oh, yeah. That's a very good point. Well, I thought that this was very cool, and I am very excited to see. She also said that Peloton is plotting some off-platform entertainment initiative involving events, behind-the-scenes content, and apparel.
Interesting.
Yes. Can't wait to see.
Then Inside Hook has the asking the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
Is too much time on the Peloton crushing your junk?
Okay, so I have to say, this is the same quote-unquote news outlet that reported about Peloton members falling in love with their Peloton instructors.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who wrote to me about how dumb this was, I know it was funny. Like it was posted in an ironic sense, not because like I was worried about men's pelvises.
No, because I don't ride, so you're welcome.
I'm good.
Like
I'm good.
You had to breathe a sigh of relief knowing that I don't ride the bike when you saw the damage it could do to my junk.
Yeah. Now I will say that, like, from a medical perspective, everything they're saying in this article is true.
But it's true about any bike.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This isn't about Peloton.
Right.
This is just like they use Peloton as
clickbait.
Clickbait for sure. Any bike can cause these problems, whether it's outdoors, indoors, etc. Even if you're using, the what do you call them, the bibs that like add cushion, it can still cause these problems. But also, Tom, like you keep saying, this is not just for Peloton. This is any bike. Right. This is road bikes. This is any kind. So, and be careful, just like don't ride every day, all day,
Yeah, moderation.
Take a break. Get checked out.
Clip out.
So joining us again via the magic of ZoomTube is Angelo from MetPro. And first off, hi.
Hi.
Hey, buddy. Hey, guys.
And so I thought we'd do something a little different. So Angelo is now officially, he's been my coach, but he's now officially Crystal's coach as well. So we thought this would be a good situation for you to kind of see what MetPro's like, right? He's going to walk you through one of our sessions where he recaps where we're at, how we're doing, how we're not doing. And what a great time, because we both just got back from Disney.
Where we gained 10 pounds
each. Yeah.
Each.
So
this could be a little awkward.
We're so in love, we even gained the same amount of weight while we're on vacation. So
you have no idea how happy I was that he gained the same amount of weight that I did. Like you have
no
idea.
No idea how happy I was that I gained the same amount of weight that she did. Like I was very happy. So I'm normally I'm glad that you're on the Zoom so we can see you, but now I can see the disappointment in your eyes.
All right. Go ahead. Let us have it.
All right. So first of all, I hope you had to have really enjoyed. So this wasn't a one-day trip. You guys went and you indulged and you enjoyed. And by the way, I do believe that is what exactly to the letter what my directions were.
It was. You were like, go and have fun, and you gave us tips. And I think it was a little easier for me with how I like to eat than it was for Crystal. But you were like, lay off the carbs at breakfast, and then have a lunch with a dessert, whatever you want to do. Same with dinner, but don't sit there and just kind of graze throughout the day. And by and large,
we managed to do that.
We were successful with that.
There were a couple days we were not, and that was one because we were sick a couple of days, and so there was like a lot of ice cream consumed on those days because our throats were so sore.
Yes, I had frozen lemonade. That's like a fruit, right? That
he sort of had a fruit.
You got lemons, water.
Yeah.
And I had been eating oatmeal every day for breakfast, so that was kind of a switch for me to go to like just eating the eggs. I was eating like a breakfast bowl thing that just had like eggs and bacon, but for the most part, we managed to do that.
And we were walking a lot. We were walking like 12 to 15 miles a day.
Yeah, our lowest was 10. It was
just shy of 10,000.
Just shy of 10,000 steps, and that was the only day that we were under 10,000.
We had a couple days where it was 18,000.
Yes.
So
that was a pretty fantastic text exchange when you told me your steps, and then I told you went on a pilgrimage.
And I said I did because Disney is my religion. So.
Oh my gosh!
Well, if I can only make it tax deductible.
Right now, it's only tax deductible. Exactly. So, first of all, I'm going to get called out by our clients. They're like, wait a second, you told them only 3 meals a day. So we had a strategy this time, which was different from last time you went on a vacation.
Yeah.
And so the strategy this time was to kind of gridlock and time gauge where the bad eating was going to be. And that was a decision, not because typically I actually am always promoting. The first thing I want to know when somebody's going to go on vacation is, let's talk about your snacks. What are we packing in advance? What tools are you going to have? In this case, I wanted to do it a little different because I knew that there was going to be an element of, oh, the lines are getting long, or, oh, our pass is up, or, oh, we got to be here at this time. And then the day never goes as planned because, my wife and I are huge Disney fans. And so anytime we go, we know how that works.
Yeah.
You get there and all of a sudden it was an unexpected longer line, or now we're here, it's a shorter wait for this attraction or whatever the case may be. So I knew that you would need at least a good break at lunch, a good break at dinner. And by gating the bad food, it's so easy to graze all day. Because people ask me about this with Super Bowl parties. They ask me about this at Super Bowl parties, and they say, well, what can I eat? Now, you can eat anything you want, but you have to eat it with the meal. The problem is you can eat it at a meal because you're only going to fit so much quantity in your belly in one sitting.
I had a 6-hour lunch.
Right, a 6-hour lunch. That's the problem.
I can do it.
You can do it. If it's what you're going to eat over the course of the day, then that's because you can walk by the bowl and grab a handful of chips or grab, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and do some big damage. Now, that being said, we managed to do a little bit of damage. However, this is fixable. This is repairable. I asked you when you told me we're going to Disney for a week. I asked you, well, are you going to Disney again for a week next month or the month after? And if the answer is no, if you're not doing this every other month and you have a special trip, what I want you to do on that trip is enjoy yourself. That's what I want you to do. And that's why I'm so mean to you the other 51 weeks. Because that's it. I had on my favorite story about this is I had a client who called me up and she said, oh, Angelo, I got into the candy dish. And it was around the time of year where they had those leftover heart-shaped candies, I Love You candies.
Yes.
Yeah. The ones that taste like chalk.
Conversational hearts.
I said, and I said, you mean to tell me after 3 weeks of nailing your meal plan, you cheated with chalk-flavored heart-shaped candies? And she said, yeah. I said, next time I want to hear tiramisu. I want to hear, cobbler, apple cobbler. I want to hear. So the thing is, save it up. Don't nickel and dime me. Don't nickel and dime me. Don't nickel and dime yourself. What I want you to do is save it up. Have a good routine. The once in a while trips, the once in a while vacations, you're going to do a little damage, but as long as we're winning the war, and here's my definition of winning, all things being equal, you drift back into routine, not out of routine. People all the time say, Angelo, what do I do? I got an event on the 24th of this month. And I tell them, if you can tell me the dates that you're going to cheat on your diet, you are doing just fine. It's the middle of the day on Tuesday afternoon. I'm bored. Nothing's going on. And I'm nickel and diming myself. That's what undermines your results. So before we left, you guys were on a cutting cycle. Mm-hmm. We determined that, and we were actually doing exceptional. In fact, I believe you both hit personal records on progress during that time.
We did.
period.
Yes.
We did.
Very, very proud of you. You guys did excellent. Normally, what we would have done was a process called up adjusting, a metabolic revving cycle for a little bit longer prior to your event. I made a call not to give you quite the full runway because we were dropping pounds so well, and that's just fine. What you're going to find is after you're back, within about 3 to 4 days, then you're going to see what damage you did. So already you guys are down 2-3 pounds overnight.
Yeah.
You didn't burn 3 pounds of fat because that wasn't 3 pounds of fat. That was 3 pounds of water and inflammation and just, getting the lead out after, being on your feet, walking around and being sore from that many miles a day, having that much sugar crammed into such a small amount of time. And you did an impressive job of that. But Crystal smiling.
Oh, yeah. There was definitely some sugar.
There was some sugar and some chocolate.
So what I think you guys are probably interested in, what the listeners might want to hear, is what's next. Well, what's next is we're going to get right back on track where we were. But surprisingly, what we're not going to do is we're not actually going to go into a fat burning cycle. We're going to get rid of the extra. You're going to come back down to where you previously were. And so here is the reality. A lot of times what I want to see post vacation is I actually want to see someone get back to their pre-vacation weight. Now, here is the truth. Based on your analytics and where you're at, it's not going to happen. So I don't want you to be disappointed if you don't get all the way to your pre-vacation weight, but you will get very close. We'll get you within a pound or two of it.
Okay.
And the reason is just having to do with where your metabolic rate is at. And again, it's because of the success you had and you were at your lowest of low right before you left. We're going to get close to that, and then we're going to do a revving cycle. However, we are going to do a shorter revving cycle than what I would typically do because you kind of already started it last week.
Yeah, we were doing some revving.
So you did a little revving. Your body's used to a few extra calories and plenty of carbs. So we're just going to make sure we kind of skim off the top, get you back down close. We're going to do a revving cycle, but this time what we're actually going to lean in on is we're going to keep leaning in on the exercise where we bring you up to a moderate carb intake, and you guys have been crushing it on this front. We're going to bring you up to a moderate carb intake. I'm going to keep you there probably just 2 or 3 weeks because when you factor in the last week, that'll be plenty of time. And then we're going to go back to a cutting cycle, but next cutting cycle will be different. Well, at least be different for you, Tom, in that we're not going to stair step you down like we did the first time. We're going to do more like this previous and just, we're going to cut.
Pull the rug out from under me.
Okay.
Pull the rug out from under you.
Okay.
And I do expect that you guys will hit another all-time low on your next cutting cycle. So it'll be probably, we're in mid-June. So it'll probably be early to mid-July. You guys are going to be absolutely cooking. So we got this.
Okay.
Awesome. So I guess that's what we have to look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that we didn't just completely destroy ourselves. I mean, I still would have done it, but
No. Oh, you're a lost cause. Completely lost cause. So you guys are doing awesome. And so what we'll do is end the week. I'll reach out to you and we'll recap and look at your numbers at that point. And basically, and I know this sounds counterintuitive, but what we're actually going to do is by the end of the week, if you're still dropping, we're going to let it ride another week. If you're not dropping, we're actually going to increase, because that tells me, okay, this is about where your body's going to get. And so we're going to go into the revving cycle. But we'll know by Friday of this week.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Until next time, where can people find you?
MetPro.co/TCO.
And don't forget, we have a contest going on right now where if you go to that website, MetPro.co/TCO, download the app from there or set up a consultation call, you will be registered to win 6 free months of MetPro, all the bells and whistles. So go check it out.
In case you missed it.
So we have a new leader in the Ride to Greatness.
It's winner because it's the final.
Okay.
That was the final win.
That was the final.
Yeah.
Greatness has been ridden too.
It has for this season. Yeah, Alex made sure to say that for season 1.
Okay.
That's it for season 1.
Gotcha.
But the winner for season 1 was in fact Team Validate.
Okay.
So it was back and forth.
Yeah.
It was a very hot match, but came in the end.
Congratulations to Team Validate.
Congratulations indeed.
Peloton Artist Collaboration.
So we have a new artist series this time from Big Frida.
Yes, and I would like to mention that right off the bat, Big Frida, she identifies as a gay man and is ambivalent
Yes.
about her pronouns, but typically goes by female pronouns, she and her. So I looked that up, everyone. I wanted to make sure that I got it right.
Yes.
So and another timely artist, because we're in the Pride Month.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that last year they had True D Smith, and she is amazing. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to Big Frida yet, but I am hoping that I love it as much as I do True D Smith.
Peloton birthdays.
We have not 1, not 2, but 3 birthdays this week.
June is a big month, but specifically this week is a big week.
Yeah.
So we've got Selena Samuela, June 22nd, and then get this, Andy Spear and Dennis Morton, both on June 23rd.
So if you're writing birthday cards this week, you're going to be getting hand cramps.
Yeah. Also, my dad's birthday is June 23rd, if anybody needed to know that.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is the very, very patient Danielle Verwey. Hey, Danielle. How's it going?
Danielle.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
She's smiling now. She wasn't smiling when I made her wait.
We felt bad. Well, Crystal had a work emergency blow up, and so we left her.
Is that what we're calling it these days?
We left her in a Zoom.
It's Friday at 6 o'clock. It's a work emergency.
It really was.
Where's that bottle of wine, Crystal?
Oh my God. You have no idea. I really want a bottle of wine right now.
If there was liquor involved, she'd have been on time.
I literally told my boss less than an hour and a half ago that I wanted, he is a huge bourbon aficionado. And I was like, tonight, I want you to drink the most expensive bourbon you have for me. He didn't want to open that bottle. No. I wasn't worth it, but that's a whole nother story. So anyway, Danielle, let's talk Peloton. Now, you've had your Peloton for a while, but I don't know exactly when. So now, how did Peloton come into your life, and when on the timeline did that occur?
So I started as an app user back in 2018.
Okay.
I saw the bike on like a late night infomercial, something or other. And I mentioned to my husband, and he was like, yeah, no, not buying that bike. It's almost $3,000. You're out of your mind. And I'm like, but I love spinning and I'd love to have a bike at home. Now, I already had the ProForm Tour de France bike. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Okay, gotcha.
Where you could ride the Tour de France and the console, and it stopped working. So it was almost like $2,000 when I got that bike. So he's like, no way I'm putting out that kind of money again on another bike.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, whatever. Friend comes to me and says, hey, you can use the app. So I started using the app and riding the spin bike at the gym. I really, really just fell in love with it. Was riding all the time. And then at Christmas, he surprised me with the bike. So I got the bike December 2018.
Redemption. I mean, he really came through. Oh, wow.
And I had no idea. The bike had been sitting in my basement since November.
What?
Well,
because this was back when delivery was fast. Well, because I didn't use my basement often.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little disconcerting. That you could hide something.
What else is he hiding down there?
There could be like, have you explored the
know.
basement since this occurred? Like he could have a sex dungeon in that basement. You would know. And if there's one thing
Listen, if he has a second wife down there, she can come take care of the kids. That'd be nice.
I was like, you don't want to let a good sex dungeon go to waste. That's just, but I just can't imagine having the bike in the basement and never knowing.
Oh my gosh. So
I had no idea. He had our oldest son come and take me out. We were supposed to go out to lunch, but of course I was like, no, let's go work out. So I took him to the gym and we worked out and they delivered the bike. I literally just missed the truck leaving out of my house. They came, I think he said they probably pulled up like 10 minutes after I pulled out.
Wow.
They delivered the bike. I had no idea. Christmas morning, he put the shoes under the tree. Yeah. So when I got to that box, I opened it and I'm like, holy shit, is there Peloton in this house?
And then he's like, no, just the shoes.
Just the shoes. Yeah.
I thought you'd enjoy
it.
It's
like it's in the basement. I'm like, okay, screw the kids, screw Christmas. I'm going to get on my bike.
Were you like, I left your gift in the car. It's going to be a minute. I'll be back in like 45 minutes.
And then you come back all sweaty.
Yeah. You're like grabbing the Walgreens clerk by the lapels. What's the most expensive gift you have? You're like, congratulations. I bought you 75 cartons of Marlboro Lights.
I'm sure she got him something good.
But that's, I don't know what they normally do for Christmas.
I don't even remember what I got him that year. I think I got him a new iPhone.
Oh, okay. That's solid. That's solid. Yeah, you don't. Well,
he's definitely the better gift buyer of the two, but that's because I want more stuff. So, I'm easier to shop for.
He's got a good point. You've got a really good point. I think I can start saying that Tom's a better gift giver, but it's because I want more things. Yeah. Okay. I like that. I'm totally stealing that.
But we've had those years where one outgifts the other, and it's just blatantly obvious. Yeah. Like it's gone both ways. We've both been on the receiving and non-receiving end of that, where it's just there's just nothing that really fits perfectly, and you're just like, but you got, and so it's like, yeah, that's always a rough day.
It is. Yeah.
It was very rough for me. I did not care.
Yeah. You're like,
I love that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
God, my brain. I wish I could do that, Danielle. Just turn it off. And I'm like, whatever.
Well, she got him a good gift though. Like,
yeah, I know. But she said she didn't care either way. Like she had done it and she moved on and she enjoyed her bike. And good for you, because if you get something that exciting, you need to be able to really enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point?
Totally.
Right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so were you exercising like all the time with the app? Was it like when you got the Peloton, it changed how much you were exercising? Did it stay the same? How did that work?
I've been worked out for like a long time. Like working out has kind of just been like my thing. I've been boxing. I've run like 7.5 marathons, a bunch of 10Ks, several 5Ks. I was supposed to start teaching a boxing class at my local gym right before the pandemic hit. So, and I had already been spinning. I've been spinning for like years back in the day when they used to only play like electronic techno music. Like that's how long I've been spinning.
That was kind of fun though, back then in the spin, like whenever you would spin, it was like so loud and you could really feel the beat. And I have zero ability to keep up with the beat. So like for me, that was super awesome to be back then. That kind of music today doesn't have as much.
I loved it back then. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, those classes were amazing back then in like, 2000, 2001. They were so good. So, but yeah, so no, I've been working out for a long time. And then when I got the bike, of course, I started working out more with the bike. But I honestly didn't start working out as much with the Peloton bike until the pandemic hit. And then I couldn't go to my gym anymore because I belonged to several gyms. So I was still doing my gym thing and the bike at home and like trying to fit it all in.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot.
Do you just do the bike content, or is it like, are you doing other Peloton content, or have you gone back to the gym, or how's that looking?
I don't see myself as going back to the gym. Not anytime soon anyway. I do miss sometimes lifting heavier weights. But I mean, like at home I have like almost a full gym. So, and I do all of the content on Peloton I mean, stretching and yoga, I probably do about that much. The smallest possible amount of stretching and yoga.
I get it.
But I do everything.
I like the stretching and the yoga, but I always feel like I'm not doing enough. Like, even though I know that I should be able to fit it in, it's like, well, if I only have an hour to work out, then I feel like I have to get something like cardio or strengthen. And then like yoga just always goes to the bottom, and the stretching does too. It always goes to the bottom of the list. It shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but you know what I found? One of my friends recommended doing the standing yoga in place of the 5-minute post-ride stretches. And I actually like that better. So maybe you could try doing that when you jump off the bike, do a standing yoga.
Okay. But why
I find that the stretch is better.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, do you look for like a specific one? Like, does it like target certain things? Like, are you looking for like standing yoga, like, I don't know, stretching your hips, or is it just like any of them?
Just any of them.
Okay.
I just grab a standing yoga and do that one instead of doing a 5-minute post-ride stretch.
Okay. She gives good advice.
So, I don't know what standing yoga is. I mean, I can make it out. It's yoga while you're standing, but like that just, I guess I don't get it.
I think I hear it, and you're the one doing it. So you tell me, Danielle, but I hear it as like, you're still getting the stretch, but it's like done in a flow, like a yoga flow. So therefore she's getting a better stretch out of it. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel like so I don't know. It's really weird because when you do like the figure 4 stretch where you put your foot on your knee and you sink back, the way they have you do it when you're doing standing yoga, I get a much better stretch. I don't know if it's the instruction that they give with it, the way they lead you into it, that I can like sink deeper and just get a better stretch than if I were to just do the regular figure 4 stretch. I don't know what the difference is. Honestly, it really is just the stretch, but I think it's the way they put the movements together maybe that makes it a better stretch. But it's literally yoga, just standing. You just don't ever get on the floor. They have chair yoga too.
Okay.
I haven't tried that.
All right.
When you're stuck at your desk or something, you could do chair yoga.
Yeah. And that's good for people who have like myself, bad posture, because I tend to sit at the computer like this. So it's good to do chair yoga, but I forget to do that stuff while I'm working. Also, I don't know when
I haven't tried chair yoga yet. Just the standing one.
You could combine them and stand on your chair.
No,
that
doesn't sound like a good idea. No. Can you do it and record it though? Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, just go into YouTube and type in fail. I'll be in all the best ones.
Okay, now tell us about. So you are a moderator for Black Girl Magic Peloton Edition, right?
I am. I just became a moderator probably like 6 months ago, maybe something like that. It hasn't been that long. Okay. Relatively new to the group. Yeah, I love that group. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of spunk.
And how did you find your way to them, since you just found them? I mean, late in your Peloton career.
Yeah, I mean, I've been part of the group for a little bit. I found them through the official Peloton page. Like someone commented or something and said, there's a Black Girl Magic group, and I'm like, oh, I'll join. So I invited myself. No one was inviting me. So I'm like, I'm inviting myself. What the hell?
Yeah.
So I joined, and I just started like posting my workouts and stuff. And really what happened was when everyone started the work from home, people were really confused about how to work out. Like no one was used to working from home. But I've worked from home it'll be almost 17 years now that I've worked from home and, worked remotely. So I kind of know how to fit it into my day, and I kind of had it all planned out. So I was like, hey, I'll just share my workouts with you guys, and you guys can work out with me if you want to or not or whatever. So I kind of ended up creating like the swarm schedule, and people were following my workouts like all the time. So I was like, I'm the self-appointed swarm ride organizer.
That's awesome.
And now it's literally like a thing. Like we have multiple times during the day now where people ride. So we have like an early morning, we have the midday, we have the evening, we have late night. So West Coast can get on it. And I make up the schedule every week. And all the ladies follow it. And then they take pictures, and I post a collage of us. Aww. And tag the instructors and Peloton. Yeah.
How do you choose the ride?
Fun. Okay. So it used to just be like really random. It'd be like let's just do this, that, and the other. But in doing it for so long, I kind of came up with like a rhythm. So every day is something, we follow the same format. So like Mondays is always Milestone Monday with Love Squad. Because like right at the height when they stopped recording in the studio and Allie couldn't do any live shout outs, she started doing Milestone Monday, where she would ride on demand class. And then afterwards she'd pop on Instagram Live and give a shout out to anyone who had told her that they were hitting a milestone. So Milestone Monday became a thing in like Love Squad. So we always ride with them on Mondays. Tuesday is Tabata Tuesday. Wednesday, I decided we would do bike boot camp. Thursdays, we usually do some kind of HIIT class, like hitting hills, or maybe we'll do a climb. And then Friday is like the fun day, so that you forget about all the torture I put you through Monday through Thursday.
And what constitutes fun? Is it just all standing yoga?
No, it'll be like a theme ride or something that's not as difficult. You know, maybe like a club bangers, or maybe even a low impact, or mostly the theme rides though. So like the Black History Month rides are good ones, or the artist series, any of the ones where the instructors generally don't go crazy.
Gotcha.
Do you ever throw the DJ rides or runs in? We
have not done a DJ ride yet. We need to do one though. We need to do one for sure.
They're a lot of fun. And I don't know if your group has a lot of tread users, but DJ John Michael also does the tread DJ runs with Adrian. So that's you get the bike rides and the tread DJ runs. So that's fun.
We do. We actually have a whole tread group too. And I have yet to do a DJ run with Adrian. And I think because they're on Friday nights, and Friday nights I'm like, it's time to have like some wine. I'm not running.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
There is nothing to be sorry about.
No, not at all.
I have technically I have 4 children, but I'm like, I have 3 children that have drove me crazy all week with homeschooling. I'm not doing anything on Friday night.
I don't blame you at all. If you can relax, you should.
So do they always homeschool, or is that a pandemic thing?
That's a pandemic thing.
Okay. I was like, wait, you
Dear God, no.
Homeschool? Like, you are a glutton for punishment.
If they homeschooled all the time, I'd start drinking at 10 a.m. It wouldn't wait until Friday.
Start having them drink.
No.
A little NyQuil in the morning never hurt anyone, right?
Just a little bit of Benadryl on the gums, and they're good. So this is not actual advice. You need to put that out there.
Yes.
Before we get sued.
Yes. Yeah. Or yelled at.
Or someone don't.
No, we don't recommend it.
Yes.
We're just having fun.
And I'm not giving my children NyQuil.
Okay. Okay. Now that we got that cleared up.
Yes. So how old are your kids?
Our oldest is 26, and then we have 16, 12, and 9.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, you are. Oof.
We are. I tell people all the time, I'm like, the way we space them out, we always are in a shitty time. Mm-hmm. Because you've either got, a toddler or infant or a moody teenager, or like, we don't get the break because they're all going through one of those like awkward stages at some point.
Because they're always going through one of those. I bet you if a 26-year-old probably is still going through one.
Oh.
You know what? He's actually really good. It's funny because my youngest tells me all the time that he's my favorite. He's like, I'm your favorite because he's the only one that looks like me. The other ones look like my husband. And he's named after me. So he's Daniel. And he's saying, I'm your favorite. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you're not. PJ, which is our oldest, I'm like, he's my favorite.
That's good. It makes him try harder.
He's self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And he pays all his own bills. He bought a house. I'm like, he's my favorite.
That's our goal for all of them, isn't it?
The next one to leave then becomes the favorite.
That's good. That gives it's like carrot and the stick, like it gets them. It injects some capitalism to the equation, right? Like it's the free market taking over and some competition to make the kids work harder to be your favorite. I like where your head's at.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're not just a moderator for the Black Girl Magic Peloton edition. You also are an admin on the You Get To crew. So you're a busy lady in the Peloton world. Now, how did you become an admin? Like, were you part of forming the group for the You Get To crew, or was that like you found them and just like worked your way up the admin ladder?
Well, the BGM has a Tread Tribe group, and they put together a schedule, and Jess's boot camps were on there all the time. So I started taking her tread boot camps a lot. And then I would make these funny Snapchat videos, basically cursing her out for almost killing me. And she was highly amused by them and started like reposting them. And then I found out she had a Facebook like fan page. I was like, oh, so join the fan page, and I comment here and there. And I guess it's pretty active, and they all laughed at my Snapchat videos. I mean, who doesn't love a filter and a funny voice? And then Nicole reached out and was like, hey, we'd like you to be an admin. And I was like, what, really? She's like, yeah. So here we are.
Aw, that's nice.
That is nice. So normally I wouldn't put you in this position. You're admitting two groups, and I normally wouldn't ask you to pick a favorite. But since you'll pick a favorite child, doesn't seem like a big deal to pick a favorite Facebook group that you admin. So here we are.
I love them equally.
I'm not sure what it says. You're more worried about offending the Facebook groups than your children. But
she knows the kids aren't going to listen.
That's true. That is true. They don't listen.
Honestly, the groups are so different. I love BGM because it's all Black women and women of color coming together who are all like working towards the same thing, just wanting to be the healthiest version of ourselves possible. And you get to crew is all people of all walks of life who were brought together just because of our love of Jess. So they're so very different. Like it's just a different group. And, of course there's mingling because there's a lot of people who are in Black Girl Magic who are also in You Get To crew. So there's a lot of crossover, but they're just so different that it's like, I really couldn't say I love one more than the other because I love them for different reasons.
I get that.
So it really is.
They fill a different need for you.
They really do. They do.
That makes sense.
It does. That does make sense.
Unlike my children.
Right. Right. Because kids just take. They're not giving. Except that 26-year-old. See, he's got it all down. So
exactly.
I'm just kidding. I really love kids. I'm not.
Yeah, you were really like, man, they really hate kids over there.
Not at all.
A comedian I like a lot named Doug Stanhope. He's very dark. So like, if you don't look him up, but unless you like that sort of stuff, but he's got a great line where he says, children are like poetry. Children are like poems. They're all beautiful to their creators. Like, yeah, that sounds about right.
That's a fact.
So having said that, each one fulfills a different need for you, like what's like from a perspective of if somebody was curious about those groups, what's unique about each group should they want to join?
I mean, basically just what I said. If you're like a woman of color and you're looking for your group of people who identify, who face the same challenges as you, or most likely face the same challenges as you, then that's a place to go. We find a lot of people who are new to Peloton and they go on the official Peloton page and they ask questions that are more suited to be answered by another person of color. Like if you wear your hair natural, how do you do it? How do you deal with it when you're sweating all the time? And what products do you use? And first of all, the official Peloton page, I'm sorry, is toxic. No matter the question.
I can't even imagine what the react. I mean, I can't imagine, and it would be gross. So yeah,
definitely.
So so we find a lot of people that are over there. So if you have things like that, and you just want to connect with a group of people who look like you, who experience the things as you, then definitely come over and join Black Girl Magic. And of course, if you love Jess, then you're gonna want to join You Get To crew. Like we welcome everybody. So. If you just have a love of Jess and you love cursing her out, it's even better. Because we curse her out on the regular. I am the OG of the curse out crew. Thank you very much.
It should be an FOG of the curse out crew. That's what I would say.
That's fair.
So I have a question about Black Girl Magic. Just a point of clarification. So you said women of color. So is it not just for like African American women, or is it for other, like, I'm not trying to play semantics. I just didn't know. And I wouldn't want someone to not join it if they didn't think that it was open to them.
If they identify as a Black woman, then it's for them. So if they are multiracial, they're more than welcome.
Gotcha.
But if they don't identify as a Black woman, then that's not the place for them.
Okay, cool. I didn't know like if I was misinterpreting it, so I just wanted to make sure that I had a handle on it. So thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
I'll have their education now that education portion of our program is complete. So would you like to share about the health issue that you kind of have to balance with exercise? Do you feel comfortable sharing about that?
Sure. I mean, yeah. So probably, I guess it was like 3 years ago at this point, maybe going on 4. I don't know. Time is getting away from me. I was like out running and I almost passed out, and I called my husband and we went to the ER because I thought I was having a heart attack. They couldn't find anything. Long story short, after multiple like fights and seeing many specialists, turns out that I have scarring on my lungs. So my lungs are only functioning at 65% capacity.
Yikes.
Yeah. Fun times. So apparently I've had asthma for all of my life and it went untreated. So for anyone out there who's suffering with asthma, make sure you're using your inhaler. I thought I grew out of asthma. I had it as a child and I thought it went away, but apparently I just learned how to deal with the asthma attacks. So it went untreated for years and caused the scarring. And then
I didn't know that.
Didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was possible. Wow.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Like,
me neither.
And now that you say that, I mean, I have heard people say like, oh, I had it as a kid. And I mean, not a doctor. I was just like, I thought that's the kind of thing, if you had it, you had it. But like now I wonder if maybe they still have it and don't realize it. Like you, like they don't exercise as hard as Danielle. Is that what kind of brought it to the forefront? Just the exercising in general, or?
No, I don't know. Like it just all of a sudden out of nowhere. I have no idea why it like all of a sudden it became a problem, but I guess it's not a problem until it is a problem. So, I discovered it. We were playing like soccer or something when I first found out I had it. And then later on when I was probably maybe like 20, they said it was like exercise induced and I used an inhaler for that. And then I just didn't feel like I was having any asthma attacks. So I wasn't using an inhaler on a regular basis. And apparently I was having many asthma attacks and not knowing it, and therefore not using an inhaler. So
is it like, like when you're exercising and you get like winded, your heart rate gets up. Is it like what you thought were being out of breath from exercising were really kind of smaller asthma attacks, or is there a way to distinguish now that you're aware of the situation, or no?
Well, now I can, like, now my chest feels like tight. Like it feels like someone is squeezing my chest or that someone's sitting on me. Okay. So then I know that I'm having like an asthma attack. And it's funny because my son, my 16-year-old, he has asthma since he was about 2. And I remember him saying to me one day, we were sitting there and he's like, Mom, you're having an asthma attack. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, I can hear like you're wheezing. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he's like, Mom, you're having an asthma attack. And I was like, dude, I don't have asthma. I'm not having an asthma attack. Well, apparently I've been having asthma attacks.
Oh my God.
And my child was telling me, and I was like, no, I'm not. Go away. What are you talking about? But yeah.
Well, first off, now I really got to call you out. That needs to be the favorite.
That should be the favorite.
Yeah. You have an emotional support child. Nobody.
Yeah, we'll see.
You're like, I got the inhaler now. So
oh my God.
That one had a nice run.
Yeah, it's all good.
So
anyway, found it out. Right now I use 3 different breathing treatments throughout the course of the day, as well as a monthly injection to kind of keep it under control.
Wow.
So have you found now that you're aware of it and you can do the things you need to do to help you navigate it better? Have you found, has your exercise changed? Just gotten better, worse? No,
it's actually gotten worse from where I was. And I think that's because I think my lung function had decreased from where it was. And that's why it all of a sudden became a problem.
Huh?
So I think it caused me to decrease from where I was. Cause I was working out like 3 hours a day. And, now I'm lucky if I get 2 on the weekends. I mean, I still work out a lot. So I'm not going to pretend like I don't work out like a crazy person, but I do work out a lot. But I felt like I worked out at a harder intensity before.
Right.
Than I do now. And I think part of it too is that I'm just so aware
Sure.
And like they were the attacks were waking me up in the middle of the night, and I literally felt like I just couldn't breathe and I couldn't get air in. And so I'm very hypersensitive to it now. That I'm like, I don't want to feel like that. So
yeah, that's understandable.
That makes total sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Holy cow. That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. So I have another favorite question for you.
Okay.
Who is your favorite instructor? Like, I feel like I would know based on the fact that you admin an instructor group, but then I'm like, I really don't know. Like,
you
now,
keep throwing us for loops, so we don't know.
This go any direction. You could be like, I'm not going to say Jess and let that go to her head. I cuss her out all the time.
She's going to be like, my favorite is Ross Rayburn.
Right.
It's like completely.
I do have a date with Ross every night, though. But so my favorites are Allie Love on the bike.
Okay.
I love Allie. I try not to miss any of her live classes. I've hit every bike milestone with her. She's also gotten almost I think she's only missed me for like 2 shout outs.
Wow.
Like ever. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then of course off the bike, it's Jess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though I have some not so nice things to say about her and some things I would call her if we were not recording.
All exercise induced.
That's yes. When it's in that
She's
realm,
well aware of these names.
Yeah. It's kind of like when your wife is in labor, she can call you anything she wants. It's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
she enjoys being cursed out, so she's okay with it.
Well, she knows you're working hard.
Yeah.
You know, like if you care enough to curse her out, that means that's how hard you're working.
Exactly.
You have enthusiastic consent.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yep.
So what is your leaderboard name?
A fit cookie.
A fit cookie. Okay. I thought you said a fake cookie. And I was like, well, now I don't even understand what that means. I'm like,
what the hell is that?
Why would someone eat a fraudulent cookie? There's so many wonderful cookies.
No one screened her before we decided to talk to her. What kind of freaking leaderboard name is that?
What a cruel
He doesn't read the stuff I send, Danielle.
What a cruel thing to do. Here's a cookie, but it's not real. What? This is madness. So do you have any advice for people who are just entering the world of Peloton?
Try all of the instructors and don't take it so seriously. Like people get so worked up over the leaderboard and where they fall with their numbers and everything like that. And, I tell the story a lot to people who are new, who are joining the groups. I'll say, I had my bike at home and I was riding. We went on a trip. I stayed at a hotel in Nashville. I beat my PR on that bike by close to 100. I came home. I said to my husband, I'm like, my bike is broke. Something's wrong. I called Peloton. They came out because this was all pre-pandemic. They came out. The guy was like, your bike is perfect. I was like, it's not perfect. I beat my PR at the hotel. I close to 100. I need these numbers to match. He's like, your bike is fine. Hotel bikes are notoriously horrible at maintenance. They don't take care of them. They don't calibrate them. They beat them to crap. So the hotel bike is off. So I was so pissed. But I'm like, that's a good story for someone who's new because it's that tells you that not all bikes are created equal. Now, if you're in the Bike Plus, it should be different because they're supposed to be auto-calibrated and, they should be equal. But if you're on the original bike, you can't compare your bike to someone else's bike. Yeah. Just like you can't compare your journey to someone else's journey. You don't know how long they've been riding. You don't know what they're doing. There's a woman who rides with an oxygen tank. You just don't know someone's story. So don't get so hung up on the numbers. Get on the bike, get on the tread, do your thing, have fun, and just enjoy it.
And that's a mentality that will serve you well in many other areas of your life.
Yes.
So absolutely. That's good advice.
It's wonderful advice.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to join us and for being patient with us. And before we let you go, where can people find you?
I am on Instagram and Twitter as a Fit Cookie and Facebook as Danielle Verwey. And that's where you can find me. And of course, on our leaderboard.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
We do. Thank you.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe, and they can find me on Instagram, Twitter, The Bike, and The Tread at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and wherever you're getting your podcast from, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. And if you get bored at work, swing on by YouTube, youtube.com/The Clip Out, where you can watch these episodes and see the faces Crystal makes at me when I say something that upsets her, which is often. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep pedaling
and running.